the Digital Futures of Work program is really an attempt to systematically try to understand what is really changing. There's a lot of hype around about the impact of AI and about how it would destroy lots of jobs. But what we want to do is really try and get a proper understanding of where the technologies can take us, but from an understanding that the technologies are not destiny. We have choices that we can make, and we need to make sure that we're making choices which are going to be good for everybody, not just good for capital, but also good for employees, and also thinking about the sorts of jobs of the future. Today, though, when you think how many people now are going into higher education, if you like, some of the past success is now creating a major problem of how do we distribute work in the future, especially as with advances in technology we know that there may not be a huge demand for so-called high-skilled workers. So how are we going to organise ourselves? Now, the answer to that is going to have profound implications in virtually every society around the globe, because everybody confronts the same issue. What is the future of the wage labour model? We often talk about it as like maybe an opportunity bargain between education. Get yourself educated, get yourself skilled, and then you'll be able to get a really good quality job. But what if that's not the case for a lot? When we think about the future of work and the role of digital innovation, one of the really interesting areas to explore is the whole question of platformization. So the question that we have is, does that mean that a lot of the knowledge that people have in their heads, we think about professional, managerial, technical forms of work, to what extent does the platform capture that knowledge and therefore structure work in a particular way where a lot of the discretion in what we do is actually taken away? It's going to be very interesting for us to explore some of these different kinds of platforms and then to think about the implications for work, because this derives from what we call the cognitive challenge. Now, the cognitive challenge in general terms is often understood as, how can we stay ahead of the technology? What kinds of things do humans need to do, like be creative, empathetic, etc., that the technologies can't catch up with, not yet anyway. This is the basic idea. But for us, the cognitive challenge is somewhat different from that. It's not that's unimportant, it is important, but really it's also how the companies are using the technologies. Because the companies can use new technologies to actually restructure the work process in ways that can transform the nature of knowledge work, of professional, managerial and technical work, and not just at the bottom end. But the nature of work is likely to change, but it changes in two ways, not one. So it changes in terms of job content, what people will do and the sorts of skill sets they might need, but it also changes in terms of job context. And one of the things we really need to understand is to what extent are we seeing this blurring of a boundary between kind of gig forms of work and the idea of established labour contract. Researching internationally for a very long time, and I would say that this particular research program has been the one where we've had the most buy-in from those we've spoken to, whether it be the policymakers or whether it be the companies, and I think all the education providers actually, for that matter. And I think the reason for that is because there's a lot of uncertainty. People understand there's something not quite right but they're not quite sure what it is. So they're very keen to engage with us. It's been a great pleasure for me to work with such a broad range of kind of academic talent on these programs, where there's enough shared understanding of our end goal. You know, we are just simply not prepared to accept the kind of talk or narrative we often get. Well, it will all be fine. The technologies will sort things out. You know, we can just free people up, and they'll find ways of working out for themselves. It's crucial we get a proper understanding. We need to be, you know, as I've described, we need to be hard-nosed but soft-hearted. You know, we're hard-nosed in the sense we really want to understand what's going on, but soft-hearted in the sense we want a better future of work. We want it to be inclusive. We want it to be human kind of centric.